All right, boys and girls, this is take two because I messed up the first time. Hopefully this will be faster and more efficient. In any case, hopefully by now you've answered the first question on the sheet that you got from me besides your note page, and that was about John Adams being a hothead and how he always wanted to challenge what the crowd was saying. And anyways, John Adams would become our second president of the United States, and Adams inherited a dispute with the French. Remember, this is a group that Washington basically went against when they signed Jay's Treaty, right? As a result of this, the French take offense to the U.S. siding with the British, so they start attacking and seizing American ships and goods. Adams wanted to avoid war at all costs, just like Washington. Remember, stay out of other people's affairs, mind your own business kind of a thing. They were both Federalists in a sense. Adams ends up sending a delegate to France, basically a representative, to try to end the dispute peacefully. Only, boom, he gets hit in the face and slapped, basically, because the American ambassador sent to France is refused when he goes to see the French minister. Imagine traveling 2-3 months journey over the Atlantic Ocean and being sent back basically to the United States without even speaking with the French minister. It doesn't get any more disgraceful than that. To boot, the French send 3 ambassadors to bribe the Americans. This ambassador from France, by the way, his name is Charles Talleyrand, and he says 2 things in his bribe. First off, give me $250,000 to talk to me. And second, I want a $10 million loan to help fight our wars over in Europe. This guy's crazy. Adams is furious. Couldn't be more, made more furious, you know? How insulting could this guy be? Adams urges Congress to prepare for war, not go out to war yet. So this event became known as the XYZ affair, and it would trigger a reaction by the Federalists to end up hurting their power, and it would open the door for Thomas Jefferson to slide in as the 3rd president in the next election. But anyways, more to the story. XYZ stands for the 3 people that the French, Talleyrand here, sends over to bribe the Americans. What happens as a result of this? Well, we get closer to war, right? We're basically at unofficial war. In fact, the navies of the Americans and the French end up dueling a little bit here and there, and it's not good. Many people die, as you can imagine, and relationship would be further on the brink, or we call that closer to war. So the U.S. eventually builds up their naval department in Annapolis, Maryland, starting in 1798, where its current headquarters is located. Okay, I want you to stop the video right now and watch the XYZ affair in the chapter 8.3 folder in Schoology. There's going to be an additional question. It'll be question 2 for you to answer on the handout you got from me. Good luck. Stop the video now. Okay, now that we're back and you're back after answering the second question, we're going to talk about what happened next. So the navies increased in size. We're starting to build ships to prepare for war with France. In addition to that, we're increasing the size of our navy, and we get big old George Washington and his Walker to be our general and our leader. He's not that old. He's not like my 92-year-old grandpa. In any case, here's what happens next. In 1798, the Republicans, remember these are the people that tend to side with Thomas Jefferson, they start to lose power because they support the French, right? The French just slapped us across the face and insulted us after we traveled over the ocean to make peace with them. And they bribed us in the XYZ affair. So in response, the Federalists slapped them back with the Alien and Sedition Acts. They mean business. They're going to expand the size of their power as government, and they do it like this. Imagine that Federalists are the snake, and these guys down here, they're the immigrants. We'll call them aliens later on. Many Americans begin after this threat to fear war with France, that XYZ affair, remember? Americans start to become suspicious about those French Americans that are in our country. Okay? We call these aliens and immigrants. So we start to question their loyalty. We wonder, are they going to continue to sympathize with France? Are they going to support them in the event that we do go to war? So something had to be done about them to kind of control them and keep them in check for our own safety. It's kind of like terrorism today in a small way. All right, I want you to pause the video again for the final time and learn a little bit more about these Alien and Sedition Acts. There's 3 of them. There's the Naturalization Act, the Alien Act, and the Sedition Act. You will be able to do this and complete that extra handout by using your red textbook, which is underneath your butt. So do that now. It might take 3 to 5 minutes. Good luck. All right, now that you're back once again, we'll finish up the story. So the story continues with the Federalists losing power, and it's all a result of them really attacking these French Americans who have earned their citizenship. Okay, why do some Americans do this? Well, these Americans are afraid that the Federalist power is increased past the point of acceptance. So James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, 2 Democratic Republicans against the Federalists, who are both from Kentucky, and Virginia, start to claim that the Alien and Sedition Acts are unconstitutional. They're illegal, basically. Okay? Specifically in the Kentucky Resolution, which is made by James Madison, they start to say that maybe states have a right to nullify or legally overturn federal laws like this crazy Alien and Sedition Act attacking Americans. So after some time, the resolution is affirmed, and that basically means that states' rights actually should be looked at here, and that limits the federal government's power to only those clearly outlined in the Constitution. So essentially that says, because our Constitution says the Alien and Sedition Acts is not in there and it's not part of it, we can't do that, and it's illegal. At the same time this is going on, Adams is trying to keep the peace. He does not want another war, remember. So he ends up sending ambassadors over, and they come up with an agreement to stop attacks on American ships. Imagine how this looks to people like Alexander Hamilton, who is also a Federalist. Okay? Hamilton supports the British. If they're not going to war with the British, that's going to be like going against the party beliefs. So Hamilton and others start to kind of limit their support greatly for John Adams. Okay, the final piece here. With the Federalist power decreasing in popularity because of the Alien and Sedition Acts, we have a change in power set to take place here. In fact, now that the Federalists have split, you've got John Adams and Hamilton and other supporters, this is going to divide the votes between the Federalists and open the door for Thomas Jefferson. So the Federalists actually split up. Charles Pinckney, the guy in Pinckney's treaty, you know, the one with the treaty with Spain that allows us to sail up and down the Mississippi River and trade at the important port of New Orleans. He leads one faction or side of the Federalists and John Adams the other. This is very much like Trump versus Cruz and Rubio in the primary election of 2017. The votes are split. Okay? Back in the old days, everybody's name was on the ballot. It wasn't just one Republican and one Democrat. Okay? It was everybody, multiple Federalists, multiple Democratic Republicans. And when they vote, eventually Thomas Jefferson would win. So, to recap, the XYZ affair, which made Adams insulted, which insulted John Adams and all of the Americans, ended up causing the Federalists to pass the Alien and Sedition Acts, Naturalization Act, Alien Act, and the Sedition Act. And that caused Americans to start hating the Federalists because they were abusing their power. This paves the way for Jefferson to win the election of 1800. Good luck. That is all I have for you. Work on your worksheets, 8-1, 8-2, and 8-3.